Our readings today have a lot in common, and they kind of give us a singular message. And that message is the importance of a name, the importance of our name. Growing up, it was always fun in the Wainio family because you always got a nickname, whether it be from Grandpa or one of my aunts. Now, Grandma Wainio, on the other hand, was livid with these nicknames because you were to be called by your birth name and that was it. But, you know, my Aunt Janet has a nickname for everybody. My nickname is Mikey. Don't know where it came from. Her son, Zachary, his name is Larry. It just, who knows? But these nicknames, they showed affection, right? It was always fun when we walked into Aunt Janet's house and she would say, "Hey, Mikey." She still does that, but, she shows affection by this. Just as Grandma Wainio showed affection by calling us by our birth name, too. She was very, very strict with that, even though Grandpa was not and would come up with all these crazy names, even calling her by nicknames. You knew that they were showing their love for each other when Grandpa would call Grandma Bunny. Anyway, these names, no matter what they may be, they show affection for us. And our names that we've been given at birth are our identity. Sure, we may share names with other people, but still our name is ours and it means something to us. Our parents may have named us after their parents, right? I'm named after both of my grandfathers, William, Nicholas. You may be named after a saint because your parents had a particular devotion to that saint. Maybe it was a hard pregnancy and Mom and Dad prayed to that saint for a safe and healthy delivery, and you bear the name of that saint now because of their thankfulness. Whatever it may be, our names are our identity. And we are given these names because God calls each of us by name. God doesn't call us by saying, "Hey, you." He calls us by name just as he did in the Old Testament with Samuel. God called him by name and Samuel responded, "Here I am." And isn't it ironic that even yet, still today, in the modern world, the voice of God, the call from God, gets mixed up with other human voices, just like in that first reading. Samuel was being called by the Lord, but kept going to Eli. And he finally figured out who was calling Samuel and said, "The next time you hear the call, say, 'Here I am, Lord. Your servant is listening.'" How many times have we done that in our life? "Here I am, Lord, and I'm listening." No matter what our vocation might be, we've done that at one point or another. God may have called us to married life, and we got up and said, "Here I am, Lord, I'm listening." Called us to religious life, "Here I am, Lord, I'm listening." Single life, so on and so forth. God continues to call us today even if we have found our vocation. He calls us to care for the poor, to help those that are less fortunate, to lift up the lowly, to build up the church. God is still calling us, and God is calling us by name. Which brings us to the gospel. Jesus called Simon Peter by name. God is calling us by our names. Now, how will we respond? Will we continue to follow the Lord? Or will we let the Lord's call get mixed up with the noise of our times? Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. And never forget that God calls each of us by name. What will our response be?